Welcome everybody. Say what? What, watching now? Yeah.
How do you know?
Because it will come up there. How's it going, guys? Very interesting evening in F1, isn't it? Very interesting. Yeah, hope you're all doing well. In for an interesting week ahead of us. Sounds like it's more of an interesting week off the track than it is on the track at the moment. So, got my cup of coffee here and just taking it all in. Yeah. First and foremost, how's everyone's week been? Only a week, not even a week since the race ended at the US Grand Prix. Red Bull managed to wrap up the Constructors Championship, and yes, we also had a near win for Lewis Hamilton as well. But fully expect, to be fair, this time around, guys, I expect Red Bull to just be top of every single session here and just make the most of that top end speed that they've got over the other teams. Hey, Pavitra, welcome all the way from India. Love to see it. Love to see that the stream has gone global. Hey, Goofy, how's it going, buddy? Welcome. I've been taking in all the information regarding the cost cap. We'll discuss it shortly. But yeah, got a few comments on what's come out. Listened just now to Christian Horner's press conference, which was enlightening and kind of to be as expected. But some interesting pieces of information there that he gave us. But yeah, all the way from the magical land of the UK. Oi, oi. Hey, CJ. So practice one starts in 10 minutes. So just going to kind of sit on this screen for a little bit. I'm waiting for the live timing stuff to update itself. It's still showing the live timing data from the United States Grand Prix last week. So once it updates itself, I'll change over the scene and then we can have a look at the track map, have a look at all of that. So, but hey, Gerard, how's it going, buddy? Welcome. Hope Checo can do it. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think it's definitely going to be the Red Bulls to lose this weekend. Hopefully, Perez gets that extra couple of attempts that, of course, being at his home track does. But Max is still the man to beat, and Max is still going for that. He needs one more win. So if he can secure that win to get the most wins in an F1 season, he's going to do it here if he can. Like, he doesn't care about Max. Checo, with all due respect. So I don't trust any team. They're all going to say something that benefits themselves. Yeah. I mean, all the teams are going to come out and say. It's not. Some of them are going to say it's not enough. Some of them will say it's okay. Otmar Shafmir was just being interviewed, head of Alpine, team principal. He said he thinks it's a relevant penalty. So some people are going to say it's relevant. Some people aren't. The likes of Mercedes, of course, are going to say it's not enough because of what happened in 2021. I feel very uneasy about it all. And I've said this before. I don't like the idea that you get a penalty, you don't get penalised for breaking the rules in the year that you committed those breaches. So ultimately, this is for the 2021 season. No matter how much they've been seen to have gone over the cost cap, it was for the year of 2021. F1 and pundits alike. I mean, I just listened to Martin Brundle, and Simon Lazenby, the Sky Sports presenter, said to him, well, fans are going to sit here and say, he goes, I'm not saying it. He goes, I'm not saying it. But fans are going to say £400,000 is 400 grand over budget, no matter how much you look at it. And that has been, and Red Bull have been able to benefit from that. And they've won back-to-back World Championships. They've won the Constructors this year, and they've benefited from that overspend. And Martin Brundle went, I don't know how you can say that. I don't know how you can say that. How can you specifically say that that's gone on like here, or whatever? And I normally agree with Martin, but I had to disagree with his comments there, because I'm thinking, well, their accountants are clever. So how do you penalise the driver, Gerard? Well, this is it, is that while the driver has not necessarily been part of the team's indiscretions of the overspend, they have unfortunately benefited from that. F1 is ultimately a team game. Now, if a driver goes out on track and crashes the car or makes a mistake and the team loses points, but they lose points themselves, but the team loses points, then the team as a whole suffers from the driver's mistakes. So how is it that when the team makes a mistake, why should the driver not be penalised in the same way? So people say with like mistakes in the pit or something like that, but driver, like, there's been other circumstances where people have defended drivers and gone, well, it's not the driver's fault that the team made a cock up. Like, why should they not be penalised? Well, ultimately F1 is a team game. The team creates the car for the driver to drive. They are just a member of that team, except they are the focal point of the team. So Max, this last couple of years, has benefited from that overspend. It could quite easily have been Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz. It could easily have been any other driver. The fact that it just happens to be Red Bull, who have won back-to-back World Championships, it's highlighted even more. And I don't like the idea for the, what's the right word? Integrity of the sport. But the FIA and pundits alike are so against going back and penalising previous championships or previous results. At the end of the day, every other sport does it. Every other sport retrospectively punishes if they find out that teams have broken rules. And why should F1 be any different? They're so against it, and I just don't understand it. For the integrity of the sport, I understand there was all the controversy last year with Lewis and Max and what happened. Take all of that out of it. If there was no controversy and Max still won that championship in fair and square, ultimately the team's broken rules that have been set out by the lawmakers, the FIA. And it's that's really my bugbear in all of this. Because I use Derby Football Club. Derby Football Club, as an example, were, if any international viewers, are an English football team. They was in the second tier of English football, so one below the Premier League. And they started with, they'd already received a penalty of like minus 20 points because of, I think they went into administration, so they got taken over by administrators, and that gives a negative points penalty. So they started 20 points behind everyone else, and it come down to the last game of the season where they had to win their last game and rely on a result of someone else to survive in the league. And they survived. But then after a couple of days, or about a week after the season had finished, they were found to have spent too much money, broken the financial rules, and they were removed from the league, or they were penalised from the league. So they were given more penalty deductions. They got relegated, and they've started next season level playing field, but they got relegated because of that penalty. The team that originally got relegated in that final position stayed in the league. Now, that's a retrospective penalty, and a very considerable financial penalty as well, because going down the leagues is expensive, and F1 should be no different. I don't know why it treats itself as such. Max Lewis is not in the support. Who would I support? Well, I've always said this, CJ. I'm a Brit, and I support the Brits. I'm a fan of Lewis. I'm a fan of George, Lando, Alex Albon. I've always been a fan of the Brits who come through as well. I have my other favourites. I really do like Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. I do like Carlos Sainz as well. But yeah, probably Lando and George, because I'm a Brit. British bias. Alex Albono. Always want him to do well. I really wanted him to do well at Red Bull as well, and I was sad to see him lose his seat, but I understand why he lost his seat as well. So, but yeah, so that's kind of my overview on this whole cost cap situation, and anything of, it doesn't matter who the team is. Like, yes, it's the World Championship, but there's very tight battles in the Championship now, and if it turns out that a team has broken the cost cap, then they should be penalised retrospectively. I just don't. It shouldn't all about be moving forward, because a team still gets to keep those championships, which means it's worth fighting for. Mercedes have spoken quite recently that they're not sure if they'll ever stay, how long they're going to stay in F1 for. Let's go, they just spend a minor spend next year, win the championship, Lewis gets his 8th, and then they go, the FIA go, oh, well, yeah, it's wind tunnel reduction time for next year and a fine. They're going to go, or they might go, yeah, okay, well, we're leaving the F1, then we're leaving F1 for a period of time anyway, so yeah, don't worry about it. Lewis got his 8th title, we got our championship that we thought we deserved a couple of years ago. See you later. We know we can still keep it. Happy days. But that's the sort of attitude you're going to get from teams, and I don't like it. Don't like it whatsoever. You need proper threats with the rules, the championships, the real stakes that everyone's fighting for can be taken away. And that's my overall opinion on all of this. So, hey Brandon, all the way from Texas, slap on the wrist. Yes, so this is it. But this is what's gonna happen now, though, guys. I've seen it for a while. Red Bull, because it's the first year of the cost cap, there's gonna be some. There's leeway. There's interpretations of the rule of the regulations. Apparently, Red Bull 13 different interpretations they were pulled up on. 13. Yet apparently, all other teams were fine with the interpretations. Christian Horner also said this as well, and the arrogance of the man and the team. So other teams did a dry run of this, of the cost cap, of the auditing in 2020, because they knew it was coming up. He was asked a question in the press conference, did you do the same? And Christian Horner said, no, we didn't do a dry run. Our dry run was the intermittent submissions in April. And because we got no comments back on our intermittent submissions, we thought it was all fine. The arrogance of him. So they've played that. They've obviously, whatever they've done in April, thought was fine. And then 13 different interpretations. I mean, that's a lot. And he even said, oh, I'm surprised all the other teams didn't have these issues. Well, all other 9 teams, apart from Aston Martin, who apparently had a different interpretation of how to log desks and chairs. And that's true, by the way. Go check the report. I mean, it seems to be that only your team had this issue compared to everyone else. It sounds like they were trying to be a bit smart in day-to-day accounting. People, that's what we pay accountants for, to be smart, to kind of work the system so that we can keep a little bit more money in our pocket. And it sounds like that's probably what they've done as well. Red Bull play a little bit close to the edge anyway with the rules, always do. And they've quite open. People who work for Red Bull, former employees, have said that. Yeah, it's yeah. But anyway, live timing. Let's get live timing up. That's me chatting. I didn't realise that I was chatting for. But why is it not loading up properly, guys? Hang on a second. Live timing's a little bit. It's not updating itself. But yeah, I mean, this is just kind of how my thinking is going in regards to it. Breach is a breach no matter what it is. Cheating. I don't know why Horner, when spade is cheating. Well, this is it, isn't it? It's and I think that's where there's interpretation for the rules, is that you've got the minor spend. Minor in itself shows that it's minor. So right, hang on guys, hang on, right, let's sort this out. Let's make myself smaller so you can actually see what's happening. Let's move that over here. But yeah. Oh, we've got another tyre test in practice 2, guys. I won't be doing practice 2 session then. That was so boring last time around, guys. Do apologise for that. But I know hindsight's always better and all that, but really, FIA, are you guys happy with the way the show is being running? It's just that the FIA is a mess at the moment. The whole Fernando Alonso situation with his penalty. I mean, it's just, they're all over the place. It seems to be that I do wonder, and I wasn't a fan of Bernie Ecclestone by any means, but I do wonder if Bernie Ecclestone was still in charge of Formula One, would we see these mistakes? Would we see these penalties be dished out? I'm not so sure. I think things would be a lot harsher. Things would be a little bit more on the nose. You know where you stand, and that's it. So there's just so much inconsistency in the sport at the moment, isn't there? It's just it's madness. Ruining the sport. People are going to stop watching the FIA exclusive. Well, it is, yeah. They're going to stop. They're going to stop. People will stop turning off. By the way, guys, take a picture. Take a picture. Daniel Ricciardo is top of your timing sheets. Take a picture, because it might be the last time he's there for the rest of this year. Well done, Crinox. Well done. We can all pretend. Oh, Stroll's now beat him. Damn it. It didn't last long, but. Oh, thanks, Gerard. Yeah, I mean, I do try and change. I do try and stay. I try and stay unbiased in essence. Like, I'm open with who I support, and I try and look at things with an open mind. I like to look at things objectively and have discussions. Ultimately, I'm a fan of racing. I love to see cars go wheel to wheel. I love to see a close championship, but I also like to see fairness in the sport, and to see the way the sport is being run at the moment over the last couple of years has just been poor. Since, as I said, since, do you know who I really think has been such a big loss to the sport is Charlie Whiting. People have underestimated how influential that man was in the sport. He was a race director, yes, but he had such control over the rules, the regulations. We had none of this shit happening on in the background. Like, he ruled, and everyone respected him. That's the thing. Everyone respected him. I feel like we need. I know Michael Massey last year has gone, but I feel like we need more faces in the FIA. Like, people to actually be front and centre. Yes, we've got the head of the FIA, who's Ben Suleiman, and then that's about it. Like, we know who the 2 race directors are. They've already removed basically one of the race directors from Japan, Eduardo Freitas, because of that debacle. For the rest of the season, they continue to fucking have different stewards at every single race. Why? This is why we get so much inconsistency. FIA doesn't deserve F1. Why? I generally think the way they're going, the Liberty Media are going to end up setting up their own governing body just for F1. Because you can damn right as a business, Liberty Media have got people trawling all over the internet, looking at what's being written, looking at what's being said on Twitter and so forth. And of course, Twitter, a lot of the time, is just a lot of bullshit. But you can see what people are saying, their immediate thoughts. There's a number of F1 podcasts out there now as well. Some are really knowledgeable, some are like casual fans, some are like really into it. And I think a lot of people are in agreement with just how things don't make sense, how just the inconsistencies, and they're all about bringing new fans to the sport as well. And this isn't helping anyone, is it? So I feel like F1, especially this year, has been in the news more so for things it doesn't want to be in the news for than good things at the end of the day. Feels like the FIA treats the teams like customers. They need to appease instead of competitors. They need to police. Yeah, 100%. I feel like they need to be judge, jury, and executioner rather than just, guys, how do you think this should be done? Like there's a point of where you go, okay, right, we'd like your feedback. Like in any business, we like your feedback, but ultimately we're the head honchos here. We lay out the rules. If you don't adhere to them, tough shit. I said this last stream. I feel like the regulations, there's too many grey areas. There needs to be a lot more black and white. F1 needs to be a little bit more black and white so that guys know, the drivers and the fans know exactly what is going to happen when you see something happen out on track or off track. At the moment, there's not enough of that. There's too many grey areas. There's too many misinterpretations. This is what Red Bull is hiding behind at the moment. We misinterpreted the regulations, yet all other 9 teams didn't. So that's like you go into an exam and with 100 other people, you fail, everyone else passes, and you say, well, I misinterpreted the question. Tough shit. It's black and white what the answer should be. There's no interpretation for it. There's some areas where you can, but there's a lot of areas where it should just be, that's it. Don't think I ever stopped watching F1. No, I don't think so as well. I mean, it's a bit like football. We moan about it. I moan about football. I moan about the results. I moan about refereeing decisions and VAR. Yeah, I still tune into the games and I still want my team to finish up the league and I still follow them every single season. And it's the same with F1. If I need tough and cruel management if they want the sport to go on, to be fair. Yeah, I think that's what they lost with Charlie Whiting. Charlie Whiting was that race director where you knew where you stood with him. He was a guy who was so well respected that people just wouldn't fuck around with him. And now, look at the mess really the sport's been in, decision-making wise, since he passed away. No one's been able to stand up to him, stand up to the shoes that fill in the shoes that he left. So, keep it one body. It's so inconsistent, it annoys me. Watch so many other series and it works fine. No confusion, but F1 is a mess. I always watch the BTCC and it's perfectly fine. No imperfections. Well, this is the argument as well. Why is it just F1? You've got many other disciplines of motorsport out there, and I know they don't get the media attention and the eyes on them as what F1 does, but you don't ever hear about massive mistakes that they're making in stewarding, and you hear hardcore fans of those particular disciplines, and they say, nah, like it works absolutely fine. We have none of this. Everyone knows where they stand. Everyone knows the rules. A lot more black and white, and that's it. Hey, Frenchie, how's it going, buddy? Welcome. I support West Ham. West Ham United. Oi, oi. Go on, you Irons. FIA's chicken shit. They're scared of Ferrari and Red Bull quitting. Then they give Red Bull a 6 punishments to choose from. Well, this is it, isn't it? The FIA are afraid of teams leaving the sport. They're afraid of Ferrari leaving the sport. They're afraid of Red Bull. But I almost feel like now that F1, there's a point of where you say the sport is bigger than a team. I think you say that in every single other sport. Football has always said the same. No one player is bigger than the team. No one team is bigger than the sport. And F1 needs to take that stance. They need to say, okay, well, look, if you're going to... I know you're massive and you've got this big history, but I'm sure there'll be other manufacturers, there'll be other teams who would happily join F1 for a discount price. Because what puts a lot of people off of joining F1 is the joining fee. It's like... This is why you're seeing Audi come in and buy Sauber, not set up their own team, and hence why Porsche also wanted to buy 50% of Red Bull, because it's £250 million joining fee alone to make up the prize money that would be lost because it's spread equally. And then, of course, all those operational costs, all those setting up fees in itself. So I think it's like close to 500 million for a new team to join. Like all in all costs, but the joining fee alone is 250 million. Imagine if a top team went, okay, well, we're leaving. And then you went to Porsche and you went, look, you can come join for 50 million. Or less, even a fraction of the 250 million. They would go, all right, yeah, take it. Happy days. So you lose one big manufacturer and gain another. Something like that. I think that's the approach they need to take. They need to take the hard approach and go, okay, all right, well, the sport's bigger than you now, with all due respect. Off you pop. Especially in a new Drive to Survive era. If Mercedes and Red Bull wanted you for next year, where would I go? So for me personally, in what capacity? As a driver or just as a team member? Because I've heard varying things. So I have heard that the work culture at Red Bull, the work culture is very good. Like the guys who work, they're not necessarily the guys who are at the racetrack working directly under Christian Horner, but the general overall work culture at Red Bull is apparently supposed to be really good. Mercedes is a little bit more corporate, and it depends where you want to go in. But if you're going in as a driver, you'd probably want to go in with it. I mean, but then again, you've got the penalties now for next year. After the penalties, you probably want to go in at Mercedes as a driver, because I think they know what has caused their car to be so shit this year. They're limited by the cost cap. They're limited by. I think it's a massive overhaul in design that would cost millions upon millions of pounds for them to basically a complete redesign of the car, which I think we'll see next year. And I think their car will be the most dramatic change next year compared to anyone else on the grid. And I think they've got a handle on next year, and we'll see them at the front. They're going to get extra wind tunnel time, of course, over Red Bull next year. Yes, Red Bull they've already got a head start because they've got such a good car already. But how much is that going to affect them next year? I'd probably want to jump into Mercedes for next year, I think, after those penalties. So, who designed my t-shirt? Oh, this is like an old Top Man t-shirt, I think. I'll be a class race director. Well, this is the thing. A lot of people think they could do a lot better at the moment. And when you think you could do a lot better than the actual professionals who've been doing it for years, then that shows you how low kind of the sport is getting at the moment. But you're a Liverpool fan in a walk alone. Yes, Harry. So I'll tell you what, guys. Let's take a little break from the cost cap. We will come back to it. Plenty of time left. Let's have a look at what is happening out on track. So practice session 1. We do have some young drivers again in this session like we did in Kota. So, as someone has just said, Harry, is that Nick De Vries? Yes, he is in George Russell's Mercedes for this session. We also have Logan Sargent, who is trying to get an extra super license point. He can run extra practice sessions and gain a couple of additional super license points to help him get closer to getting that the required super license, basically. Jack Doohan is in the Alpine, as you can see there, in P12. And we have Fittipaldi in the Haas for Magnussen. Can you talk more about a driver? Do how he do. But yeah, let's have a look at some times. So as I expected, Verstappen and Perez at the top of the timing sheets. I expect to be that 1-2 every single timing sheets, guys. Next session is a Pirelli driver test. Pirelli tyre test again. Remember how exciting that was last week, guys? We also have Liam Lawson. Sorry, I forgot that. Liam Lawson down in 18th position in the AlphaTauri. Tibby, Mercedes is competitive. Well, I don't want to I don't want to ruin your expectations, but I don't expect them to be competitive. This track is very power dependent. What might help them a little bit is that because of the high altitude, there's less air resistance and it will make their car less draggy. But they were the slowest of the top speed last week in COTA. Now look how long that back straight is. That back straight is so long. It is where all the overtaking is done. And I just don't see them doing well here this week. I think they'll be best of the rest, probably 5th or 6th. But this will be a fight between the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Ferraris behind them, and then, yeah, the 2 Mercedes, I think. I hope not. I really hope I'm wrong, but that's what I think will happen. What speeds do I think they're reaching in Quay 2019? Seb got up to 360 kilometers an hour, but with reduced aero. Do you think they could make it quicker? I don't think so, no. The other cars were just generally quicker, weren't they? Through the corners. I don't think they're going to be able to get the acceleration out of turn 16 and stay as planted through that corner all the way down to turn 1. Because these cars are slightly slower, aren't they, anyway? Because they're slightly they're heavier, a little bit more laboured for the corners. But Sainz up there with a 22.7. It's not too bad. 5 tenths behind Verstappen, though, with a 22.2. We've got Gaz Bottas. I tell you what, Alfa Romeos have been good. They were good in COTA. Very good. Could see Bottas and Zhou up here this week. Vettel. Go on, Vettel. Good to see you out there, man. That was such a great overtake last week, wasn't it? Such a great overtake. But did Leclerc have an issue? I think I saw a Ferrari come up on Sky TV. Leclerc is down in 20th. Only 2 laps on those hards. But everyone out on the hard tyre at the moment as well. Not wanting to use the softer compound tyres, i.e. the mediums and the softs. So Sahar, what did you say it for, buddy? You know what's going to happen now. Look for next year on now with the overspinning. Go get them, Toto. Yeah, well, this is it. But I don't think it will. I think what we'll see now over the coming weeks is we'll see the regulations tightened up. We're now going to see the regulations tightened up, interpretations be clarified, and Red Bull, in essence, have kind of got away with one, in my opinion, because now the rules are going to be changed to make sure that these interpretations don't happen anymore. That's what I think, and that was one of my worries. Hoping for more Vettel points. Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. I'm really hoping so. He's a confident Vettel. Didn't really have the Ferrari underneath him, did he, in his last year? The team had already announced he was going and didn't really treat him well. He feels loved at the moment, coming to the end of his career. He feels comfortable in the car. But yeah, hopefully we see a good last 3 races from Vettel. It'll be exciting to see if Merc's upgrades are going to work, especially on the straights. Yeah, so I was proven wrong actually last week. All last week I was saying that the Mercedes wing, I was part right. So the Mercedes front wing that they bought was FIA approved. It was approved by the FIA design team. But apparently that's not full and final. If a team appeals it, which apparently one team did, no confirmation on which team appealed the front wing, but I probably guess who it is. They were not allowed to put it on their car. So they've had to make some alterations since last week, which the FIA are happy with, and they're running it this weekend. But the thing is that I'm not so sure. It might not necessarily benefit this car. That they're obviously looking for it to do something specific. And if it does that, then it will be a win for the Mercedes. They're not expecting it to probably outright improve the car that they've got, because there's too many things wrong with that car. Well, there's no point in cheating since Red Bull are now down on power for next year. Well, they're not down on power, Sahar. They're down on wind tunnel time. So it means in regards to improving their aerodynamics. But yeah, it is a big hit. 10% is a big hit, but they've already got a head start anyway on the overall design of their car. We're not going to see too many drastic changes between how the cars look next year. I think I don't know. I think the big one that I've seen is the ride height is changing. To make it more comfortable for the drivers, so you're not limit the porpoising that we get. But overall, it's a pretty similar car to next year, so they've already got quite a head start anyway. But Leclerc out on track now, doing some lap times. Always on the soft tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what Leclerc can do here on the softs. I think this is his first full lap coming here. His time lap around the last corner, and he sets a 1:21.5, so only 7 tenths quicker than Verstappen on a fresh set of softs there. So fully would expect to see Max probably get down into the 21s, into the 20s even. Giving FIA too much credit for tight rules next year. Yeah, well, this is it as well. Not that I have many followers on Twitter, guys. If you don't already, go follow me over on Twitter. I did ask the question, how do the FIA impose those restrictions and monitor those restrictions in regards to wind tunnel time and CFD time? I generally don't know. Is anyone able to answer that? But how do they manage that? Because I heard from who is it? I read, is it Engine Mode 11, former Red Bull employee, in particular worked on the software side of it. He said that the amount of data that is gathered by the CFD is terabytes and sometimes even petabytes. That I don't know how much that is in regards to data, how many gigabytes it is, but that's too large of a file size to transfer over. Like, it has to be held on servers, so must get like FIA officials come in and check it or something. I don't really know. Red Bull have more catering and the wind tunnel will not be missed. Praying for a Perez win. It would be mad to see the Mexican, how mad the Mexican fans. I mean, they went mad last year when he got a podium, let alone when he went on if he'd win it on a top step. Yeah, Harry, I think, look, not everyone wants to see Mercedes back up the top, but I'd like to see Mercedes back up the top because they've got 2 British drivers, and because I'd love to see them back up the front, taking it to Red Bull and Ferrari. I really hope that we get a 3-team battle at the top next year. It'd be brilliant. You think we're going to see a crash in the 710 complex? You think? The cars can follow quicker though, so they don't lose as much downforce as last year. The reason we used to see a few spins there is because they lose the downforce due to the dirty air. The cars were more affected by it. This time, due to the ground effect of the car, That's why cars are able to follow closer, because there's less dirty air. I don't think we'll see that. Fully expect there to be a crash into turn 1 though tomorrow, because the run down to turn 1 is just so long. 1024 gigabytes is a terabyte. 1024 terabytes is a, oh my god, that's a lot of data. Wow. This is like it. No negatives against teams. These drivers put their lives on the line for entertainment. I'll be terrified. Exactly, Gerard. Look, I try and be, as I always said, I have my preferences. I prefer some drivers over others. I prefer some teams over others. Ultimately, though, I want to see good racing. I want to see a championship battle. So, like, Max has done it on merit this year. Fair play to him. I didn't like the way he drove last year, and this year we've seen a much more mature Max, a proper world, someone who's got a world championship under his belt. Yes, I know the circumstances behind it, but regardless of everything else that's happened off track and last year, it's a much more mature Max this year, and he's driven like a world champion. Thoroughly deserves it. Just a shame that it was over so quickly. Would like to see Leclerc give him a fight until the end of the year. I think I can see some type of run time or something like that. I think oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, it must just be simple times. Oh, okay, so Leclerc down into... Whoa, guys. Where has Bottas pulled a 21-1 from in that Alfa Romeo? And a 21-1 from Norris. Okay. That bodes really well, guys, because the top teams... Leclerc is only 3.5 tenths faster than the McLaren on the same tyre. Don't know what fuel load they're running, of course, or what runs they're doing. But normally, sooner, it's a lot quicker than that. Like, it's a larger gap. I don't like Mexico Grand Prix, guys. I'm just putting my hands up already. I don't like the racing that we get here. Normally, it fizzles out very quickly. The leader storms off 20 seconds down the road, and not a lot really happens. The stadium section actually ruins the flow of the track, if you ask me. It would be great to see this be a nice swooping corner, which I think it used to be, didn't it? Is it Peratolda? Someone said to me. It used to be a sweeping corner around here. I think that would be mega. Absolutely mega, and provide so many more overtaking opportunities. So I'm hoping that with the new regulations, we do see closer racing here, but I haven't got my hopes up. Just saying. Who's my favourite driver? DJ. I've said this before, I don't have a particular favourite driver. I support the Brits mainly. Always have done growing up. So Lewis Hamilton, George Russell, Lando Norris, Alex Albon. And I like Charles Leclerc, Vettel. See, I used to hate Vettel. I used to hate him. Oh, when he was in the Red Bull. Hated him. As he's got old, and I still wasn't really a big fan of him when he went to Ferrari. And then as he's got older, I don't know, he's changed, I've changed, and I've grown to like him. So how you can not like someone now and then like them later on down the line. You can love someone now and then not like them. So things change, guys. Things change. People change. Do I think it's the cars this late in the season, or maybe some tracks, curbs, Cota, for instance? What, in regards to the closer racing? I think it's just the nature of the tracks. Cota. Oh, we got a yellow flag, guys. Verstappen has stopped on track. Has he spun, or is it a mechanical failure? Verstappen has stopped. He's underway again. That's a spin. That is a spin. Verstappen has spun it through turns 11 and 10. I'm just waiting for the TV coverage to catch up. Let's see what he's done there. Or was he just going slow and had a mechanical failure? Oh no, we're on board with him. It's definitely a spin. He was fastest in Sector 1, just pushing it, and must have spun it. Here we go. Through the left. Through the right. Yeah, he lost it on the curb. Oh, he spun it. So he lost it on the inside of the curb. Talking about curbs, he lost it on the inside of turn 10 curb. He just took too much curb. I think the nature of the tracks are helping bringing the regulations to light. COTA, you would never have seen the cars last year or previous years stick as close as they did for the S's, where you need the downforce and the dirty air was so massive that you would just lose that. You saw guys being able to stick on the back of other cars. So the regulations really do show themselves at certain tracks more than others, and COTA was one of those. So Norris to Red Bull in 2025. No, I don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't see anyone who... Oh, Vettel's slow. Vettel's very slow. Are we going to have a yellow here, or is Vettel just letting them through? That's good. He was just letting the faster cars through. I don't see... Realistically, I don't see a driver who wants to be number one go to Red Bull as Max's partner while Max is still there. Because Max is always going to be that number one driver. So you're always starting on the back foot when you get there. I think Norris, we may see him in Mercedes once Lewis Hamilton retires. I think Nick De Vries would take an opportunity to move up from AlphaTauri to Red Bull. I reckon that's probably Red Bull's next move. They're eyeing De Vries. He's a bit older. Tsunoda's on his last chance saloon next year. So if Tsunoda doesn't make an improvement next year, then they'll probably replace him with a youngster. So that will mean De Vries then becomes the number one in AlphaTauri because he's had a year. And so I think that's more of where they're looking at. But Sainz at the top of the timing sheets now, 20.7. Alonso into the 20 seconds as well. Perez in a 21. I reckon Red Bull sandbagging a little bit. Red Bull sandbagging with some extra added fuel at the moment. But you can see Hamilton has done a 24.4 on the hards. Latifi up in 12, not bottom this time around. So tight going through the stadium. Just watching Gasly go through. Trying to get traffic out of the way. Make T1 a 90-degree corner down to T4. Move stadium section and make 12 and 17 a parabolic corner. Yeah. I think because of how long the straight is, I don't think you can make T1 a 90-degree corner. Just because it's too much of a sharp turn. It's a little bit more of a free-flowing corner, so still able to carry a little bit more speed through there than they would like Monza chicane. But I definitely agree with 12 through to 16. They need to take out the stadium section. It was a good idea. It just ruins the whole flow of the race. It's very gimmicky now, isn't it? It's just gimmicky. Oh, Zhou's had to stop at the end of the pit lane. When they hit the curbs, a few spun outs drifting. Yeah, well, if I remember rightly last year, I think this section had very little grip for it as well. I don't think the rubber was really laying down as it should do. So we saw a few spins, and it's the one section where there's a lot of shift in direction. So a lot of weight shiftment laterally, and they need that grip. And that's what we just saw from Verstappen. He got on the curb too much. And yeah. What's my honest thoughts on Red Bull and Verstappen? I'll keep it short. Verstappen, amazing driver. As I said earlier, didn't like the way he drove last year. Yellow flag, guys. Fittipaldi stopped at turn set 2/3. That's mechanical failure, or has he spun it? Better find out. Should be able to get him out of the way. But Perez now up to a 20.8. Verstappen with a 20.8. Oh, and there's a red flag. So, yeah, Fittipaldi has had to stop out on track, unfortunately. 22 minutes remaining of the session. Okay, so Sainz and Leclerc have done a tenth faster than Verstappen and Perez. Perez and Verstappen's lap is exactly the same, guys. Look at that. An 8.27 each. 20.827. That bodes well. We don't know what fuel they're running, but hopefully the Ferraris can give us a race here this week. Yeah, sorry. So honest opinions on Verstappen. I like Verstappen more than I like Red Bull. So I don't like the way that Red Bull go about their business. I don't like Dr. Helmut Marko. Can't stand the man. I'm not Christian Horner's biggest fan either. Never really have been. I didn't like the Max of last year because I felt he didn't need to drive the way he did last year. Yet he was allowed to, so I get why he did it. But he's got the talent. He's quick enough to not do that. And this year, I much prefer the way that he's driven. And he's a deservedly world champion, but regardless of everything else that has happened off track. And we've seen a much mature Max this year. That's basically the crux of it. So, who is Jack Doohan. He's currently a Formula 2 driver. I think his dad's Mick Doohan, superbike driver. I know his dad's a superbike driver or a motorcyclist. He's not. I don't know if Mick's his first name though. But yeah, Jack is currently an Alpine. He's their reserve driver. He's currently in F2 in his first or second year, I think it is. I think it's his first year because he was in F3 the year before. He came second in the F3 Championship to Dennis Hauger. I think that's right. There was talks that if Gasly couldn't sign for them, then Doohan might get an early promotion. But Doohan's a little bit erratic in F2. He needs to tidy up his racecraft a bit. He makes some decisions where he just leaves his nose in when he shouldn't do. But overall, really quick driver. Oh yeah, Fittipaldi has some mechanical issues. Just on the Red Bull, the people that manage it just annoy me. You can kind of tell I'm a DFE fan. Yeah, that's mainly it for me, really. I don't like his. I'm not a big fan of Christian Horner, and I'm not a fan. I say I'm not a fan. I actually dislike the man, Dr. Helmut Marko. I've never met him in person, so of course opinions could change if I met him in person. But the way he comes across in the media, I mean, some of the shit that comes out of that man's mouth, it's just like, really, dude. Like, people go, oh, he's like that old uncle who just comes out with rubbish. Like, nah, that's just a shitty excuse for some of the stuff he comes out with. Like, I mean, didn't he accuse Hamilton of taking drugs? Like, he accused his performance. Who's his performance? Is it? I can't remember her name. Lewis Hamilton's performance manager or whatever her name is, like handing him drugs in the car. I mean, do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Like, think before you speak. And that's not just because it's Lewis. People go, oh, British bias because it's Lewis. No, think if they said that about any other driver, Charles Leclerc or Danny Rick or whatever. Like, stupid, absolutely stupid. So yes, guys, at the moment, a little bit of an update. Enzo Fittipaldi had to stop the car on track in this session due to a mechanical issue. So everyone's to come in and pit while they just remove that car. Shouldn't take too long. He was over here in turns 2 to 3. So should get up and running. We've got 18 minutes left. Sainz and Leclerc currently top of the timing sheets. Just a 10th ahead of Perez and Verstappen have done exactly the same lap. Not often we see that. That bodes well. That bodes well. Unless Perez and Verstappen get out there and set a blistering time. That bodes well, because I thought the Ferraris would be a little bit behind Perez and Verstappen here. And Alonso, whoa, actually, I've just checked. Alonso is only a couple of hundredths behind Verstappen and Perez. What? The timings look a lot more bunched up in this practice session than I thought they were going to be. I thought we was going to see a little bit more of a spread, but it seems to be that it's a lot tighter, which I really hope bodes well for the race, guys. Really hope so. Angela Cullen, that's it. Performance coach. Yeah, you're accused there of handing him drugs. Like, while he was in the car. Like, ridiculous. You feel the same about Merck, Lewis, and Toto? Yeah, that's fair enough. I can see why people don't like Toto. Yeah, I can see it. And Lewis as well. I can see why some people might not like Lewis. I personally prefer them over the other two, but look, everyone's entitled to their opinions. So that's F1, that's sport. So guys, we've got just over 15 minutes, 16 and a half minutes to get some laps in. I'm intrigued to see if the Red Bulls will come out on another set of softs or on that same set of softs, and if they can set a faster time. I'm intrigued. If Ferrari end the top of the timing sheets here at the top, it bodes well. I generally think it bodes well, because I don't think a Red Bull would like to be at the top of every single timing sheet here because of Perez. So, keep an eye on that, guys. That's really where it's most interesting. And Mercedes as well, because Hamilton, keep an eye on Hamilton, see what he can do on some softs. He's only done 11 laps on the hards, so that time he set isn't really representative. So see what he can do on the softs. You'll get a gauge of where the Mercedes pace is this week. Russell calls dibs on Science this Sunday. Someone will. Science has been out of the first lap 4 times this season. So Logan Sargent, but all the F2 drivers. So yes, their teams are using up their allocation or their mandatory young driver sessions. So Logan Sargent is confirmed, albeit dependent on him getting a super license by the end of the year. He is confirmed as Williams driver next year. And this is something, actually, I didn't mention this, guys. I saw a tweet from a quote from, is it Josh Capito? Is their team principal? He said he has no confirmed backup if Logan Sargent doesn't get his super license by the end of the year. Unless he's just not willing to give anything away, or they're still in discussions. That is madness to me. You can have confidence in a young driver, I get that. But to not have a planned backup in place, that seems bizarre to me. That seems very bizarre. I don't believe that whatsoever. Both Lewis and Max are aggressive drivers, super talented. Let's see you next year. Yes, yeah, agree. Max is definitely more aggressive than Lewis. Lewis has, thank you for the sub, Richard. Max is definitely a lot more aggressive than Lewis from 2021. That's for sure. It's the only indication we've got. Be interesting to see. Last week out, Max had such a faster car that didn't have an opportunity to see them properly go wheel to wheel. But you could see in 2021 that Lewis was a lot more cautious. He was willing to give the room. Lewis was playing more of the long game, whereas Max was going for it a lot more. And I get why he was doing it, because Lewis has got 7 world championships. Max hasn't got any, so it's more. I'm not saying that Lewis doesn't want it as much as Max, but I would say, no, actually I am. I would say Max wants that more than Lewis, because Max wants his first world championship. And Lewis is a little bit like, I'll play the long game here. I don't need to lose it now in this race. Whereas Max was a little bit more like, no, I need to go. I need to get it now. If you get what I mean, kind of mentality wise. So put my name forward for a seat. I'm too old and fat. I haven't got the body shape of an F1 driver. Or a driver in general, to be fair. That's why sim racing works well for me. Can I name all the F2 drivers today? Yeah, so we have Logan Sargent, Jack Doohan. That's it. Logan Sargent, Jack Doohan. Then we also have Nick De Vries. He's not an F2 driver. Of course, he's AlphaTauri next year. But Nick De Vries is in George Russell's Mercedes. And then Enzo Fittipaldi. Do I play F1 or just watch it? Yeah, UT. I do play F1. I don't play the F1 official games because I mainly race in VR. So the quality of the VR support this year, it was the first year, so a bit understandable, but it wasn't great. So I haven't played it. I haven't played it really at all this year. But I race quite regularly F1 on iRacing. They've got the official Mercedes W12 from last year on there. Mercedes worked directly with iRacing to bring it to the sim. So it's kind of as close to driving a Mercedes F1 car you'll get other than real life. And yeah, I do that quite regularly. 100% races. I do like weekly official races. I've also qualified, guys, for a Mercedes sponsored event. IWC Watches have got an event. I qualified top 4 in the UK for an event in London that they've got where Jarno Otmir is going to be in attendance and George Russell as well. And I'm on Team George, others are on Team Jarno, and we're going at it in an event that will be live streamed on Twitch. So yeah, really looking forward to that. It's just been moved back to December. I'll keep you guys all updated of when that is. But yeah, some cool prizes. I mean, I think first prize, so it's team prizes. First team prize is a tour of the Mercedes F1 factory and like an afternoon near Mercedes simulators or whatever they've got, like this simulator HQ. And then second prize as a team is a driving experience in a Mercedes AMG GT at their Mercedes World or something. And then there's like loads of merch and stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to just be involved, to be honest. But yeah, really looking forward to it. So I'll be filming content and make it. The missus is coming with me and she's going to be my cameraman for the day. How long has practice been going on for? It's an hour session, so we've got 10 minutes left. It was stopped for about 5 to 8 minutes for a red flag. But Hamilton has done it. Okay, guys. So the top 5 are separate. Top 6 are separated by less than 2 tenths. If you're excluding Alonso, I don't want to exclude him, but if you're excluding Alonso, Hamilton is the top 5 are separated by 1.5 tenths pretty much, under 1.5 tenths. That is so much closer than I thought it was going to be this weekend. Red Bull could still be sandbagging. Little bit of me thinks that they are. Probably heavy fuel load. Don't want to give away their cards. Don't want to show their cards just yet. But that's a lot closer than I thought. We could be in for a closer race this weekend. I thought it was going to be a bit of a bore. What was the red flag, Marlin? So Fittipaldi had to stop out on track. He had a mechanical failure. I told him to stop the engine. So I think Bottas deserves a better seat in the future. Maybe he'll do a Perez and someone will take him. He'll leave and say maybe someone will take him, but I don't think so. I think the top teams now will be looking at the youngsters. They'll be looking at the future. Realistically, the top 3 teams at the moment, as we know, are Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes. Hamilton and Perez. Oh, we got a yellow flag, guys. Where's the yellow flag? It looks like Lawson, I think, had an issue there. Is that right? Yeah, I think Lawson had a little wobble in turn 5, I think. think that was Lawson. Or one of the Alpha Towers, anyway. I think what will happen there is, at the end of the day, he's not going to move to a top team because the next two guys to probably leave those top teams is going to be Perez and Hamilton. Hamilton's already talking about an extension in contract anyway, so I think he'll go on into his 40s at Mercedes. Perez depends all on how well he does at Red Bull and how long he wants to stay there and be number 2 driver, because that's ultimately what he is. So he's not going to move further up the grid, I don't think, Bottas. There's a possibility we could see Bottas leave F1 before Hamilton and Perez do. Because I know Bottas is another driver who has businesses outside of F1. He does a lot of cycling. He's a bit like Vettel. I can see him doing kind of like a Vettel in a couple of years' time. Probably leave F1 and go do his own thing. Why don't the driver order mixed up? Yeah. Oh, who moved out of the way there? So we're seeing some long runs now. So no one is really. We're not going to see the hard here this weekend, I don't think. I don't know. Oh, Lewis had to move out of the way quite sharply there. Paul di Resta going in on Lewis Hamilton, as to be expected. Not a fan of Lewis Hamilton, is he, Paul di Resta? Hard tyres, yeah. I don't know what the strategy is here this weekend. I don't know what the tyre allocation is as well. I'm gonna check that now. Check that now for you guys. Let's see if Pirelli Motorsport have given the tyre allocation for this week. Normally they do. I can't see any tyre allocations at the moment, but the tyre stress is not a lot around here. So everyone's using the hard tyres at the moment just to kind of get rid of them and save the softer compounds. It is going to be a medium and soft strategy. Is it a 2-stop or a 1-stop? I think it's a 1-stop round here. But they haven't shown. They haven't quite given us yet tyre allocation for this weekend. Want to see if I can find that. Have I read your comment on a poll about the cost cap? Not sure. Did I? Not sure if I've seen it. YouTube's a bit delayed with its notifications of comments at the moment. Most people are saying too lenient with the cost cap penalties, though, guys. I do have to tend to agree. You can cheat in a sport no matter how much, but it should be immediate disqualification. I don't see why FA can't just make good decisions. FA need to get up their game. Yeah, I agree. It needs to, as we were saying, there needs to be more of a black and white element to it. And I think that's what's going to happen moving forward. I think we're going to see the rules tightened up. Oh, we've got another yellow flag in sector 14, which is in the stadium section. Lawson has stopped in the stadium. What has happened to Lawson? Has he spun or has he had a mechanical issue? That looks like mechanical. It can't have spun there. Can't have. Lawson stopped on the entry to the stadium. Bet the fans are loving that. Lawson isn't, but I bet the fans are. And it's a red flag, yep. So mechanical issue. This is going to probably be the end of the session. Don't see any more running happening. So we've got Sainz at the top with Leclerc. We've got Perez 3rd, Verstappen 4th, Hamilton 5th. Really didn't expect to see the Mercedes that close there. Still think the Red Bulls are sandbagging. Alonso close behind. Bottas. Look at Bottas this week, man. The Alpha's got a bit of pace in it. Yellow flag, sector 3. So it's showing it on TV. Surely. Yeah, the engine's smoking. Oh dear. That engine is smoking. gonna see some issues here. We could see a lot of mechanical issues here this week because of the high altitude and the cooling issues they have. So you can cheat as much as you want in a sport as long as you don't get caught. Exactly. You're only sorry when you get caught, aren't you? So we'll go back to the cost cap. Just making a comment on it once again. There was 13 areas that the FIA pulled Red Bull up on. Now that's a lot of misinterpretations, isn't it? That is a lot of areas of misinterpretations where, as reports suggest, other teams didn't have those issues. I could be wrong, but I don't think other teams were pulled up on so much on that many misinterpretations. They were all able to... Oh, now the brakes are on fire of Lawson. Oh, that's good. Car's smoking all over the gaff. Yeah, there's a lot of misinterpretations there, isn't it? So... Staff, see if you can post decent highlights videos on YouTube. What, of the watch-alongs, Gerard? Yeah, I try to. I did one of the watch-along a while. It just takes a bit of time. It's just if I can, because I work full-time. Trying to do it quite instantly after the race finishes is a little bit much. But yeah, I do clip this stuff. Do clip it into shorts on TikTok and stuff like that. Thank you, Walla. Thank you for the sub, buddy. And anyone else who has subbed and it hasn't shown up as an alert, YouTube's a bit funny like that. So thank you, guys. I will be doing... I've had a video planned in the works for a little while, and I'm going to try and get it out probably next week at some point. I've got a video planned in regards to penalties in F1 and stuff that I'll be putting out. I want to branch out a little bit more into just doing some actual F1 content. But yeah, session... Well, it doesn't look like it's going to be restarted. We've got a minute left. I try to stream as many sessions as I can. So normally on a Friday, I'm still at work. Don't get the opportunity to stream the sessions on a Friday to practice 1 and 2. But I try and stream practice 3. I try and at least minimum stream qualifying and the race. So, yeah, the practice sessions depends on if it's in an evening time, because I'm able to do it. And then practice 3, sometimes do, sometimes I don't. Qualifying and race, I'll always make. I'll let you know beforehand if I can't do them. Guessing the session's over. Yeah, it's over. They're not going to restart. Then I'm not. Yeah, Crinox. I'm not going to do the tyre test. It was too boring. We don't learn anything from it. And we'll just make up for it with practice 3 tomorrow. I'll probably go and play some new Call of Duty. If I'm honest, the new Call of Duty's out. I've got that downloading at the moment, so I'll probably go and play that. They've got a track. Have you seen the racetrack actually that's on? They've got the Singapore racetrack as a map on Call of Duty. Looks pretty cool. The cars race around it as well. Like, you can go up to it and the cars race around. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Tyres the same if it was in the USA. I think so, or different interpretations of them. Yeah, like we won't know what tyres they're on. It's pretty pointless as a viewer to watch because you don't know what they're doing. All you know is that they've got all the same fuel load, which is 20 kilograms, and they're not able to make any in-car changes throughout the laps that they do, but you don't know what tyre compound they're on. So it's pointless, absolutely pointless for us viewers to watch. Hence why they normally do it out of season or in between races, because it's useless for the fans. So... interested when the engine's going up this weekend. Yeah, we said Jack, probably going to see some mechanical failures in the race where the car's getting hot. I think so. High altitude here, less air. But let's sum up, guys, before obviously we end the stream and shoot off with everyone else dropping out as well. Big news of this practice session, really, guys, is the fact that the top 5 are so close. You could even say top 6 with Alonso. I didn't expect to see Hamilton less than 1.5 tenths behind the leaders, let alone so close to the Red Bulls. Still think the Red Bulls probably running maybe a little bit higher fuel than the Ferraris. Don't know. We'll find out tomorrow because we're not going to learn anything from practice 2. But If that is the case, and that is a true reflection of everyone's pace here this weekend, we're in for a good race. Because Mexico can be quite boring. I expected the Red Bulls to run away with it. Alonso, really good time stand with those front boys. Bottas, the Alfa Romeo looks good here, just like it did in Kota last week. Norris, 21-1. Gasly in 9th. Vettel. Ricardo looks like he's not too slow here this week as well. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a good performance from him because Kota was a shambles and just depressing. Zhou in P12, Stroll 13th, Mick Schumacher 14th, Latifi 15th, Lawson, Sargent, De Vries. De Vries only really did run-ins on the hards, so his times are not reflective, guys. If you're thinking, oh, De Vries, he's not very good, well, he didn't do any soft running. He just was on the hards. The hards... If you looked when the Red Bulls were running on the hards, they was running in the 24s as well. And then Jack Doohan and Fittipaldi at the bottom. So, yeah, there we go. This is only FP1, yeah. I expect Red Bull to still have pace in them. But I'm hoping, I'm still hoping for a close race this weekend. Mexico doesn't provide us with close races. It fizzles out very quickly. So... Love a race happening during an active battle. Yeah, exactly. That's what we all want. That is what we all want. So, £7 million, that is like a penny for a ball. It is. It is a drop in the water, especially with the prize money that they're going to earn from the constructors. So, FP2 is on in a few hours, but I'm not going to stream FP2, guys, because it is just... It's another Pirelli tyre test. It was boring in Kota. It's going to be boring here. We don't learn anything that is relevant to the race weekend. I will be probably tweeting. As I said, I'm going to wait for Call of Duty to download, play Call of Duty. Might even do a race. I don't know. I might do a race. I'm not sure. But yeah, we'll see. But yeah, good discussions on the cost cap, guys. I'm sure we'll hear some more information. I'm interested to see what the other team principals have to say about it. And I'm interested to see if anyone echoes my opinions in regards to the penalty actually being appointed to the year that they actually broke the cost cap. I'm interested to see if anyone agrees with that. But Alonso has a great chance to pretend a podium until it's appealed and then retracted 5 days later. Yeah. But guys, yes. What happened for the red flag, Sahar? It was we had 2 red flags, both for mechanical failures. Enzo Fittipaldi. Enzo? No. One of the Fittipaldis. He stopped out on track due to overheating engine, and then Lawson also had an overheating engine and stopped in the stadium section. So that is why we had 2 red flags. Lawson's one came with 5 minutes remaining. So that's why the session didn't get back up and running again. But yeah, guys, big thank you for stopping by. If you want to hear my opinions about the cost cap, you can... jump back to the start of the stream where in like the first 20 minutes we discussed quite heavily what I thought about it. I'll also be tweeting as well, guys. So yeah, please follow me over on Twitter. I feel like I'm criminally underfollowed on Twitter. I'm just tweeting to nobody at the time. But yeah, send me out. I'll be on clipping some of this stuff, putting on TikTok, Shorts, etc. Not doing FP2. I will be back tomorrow for FP3 and qualifying. So, yes, turn your notifications on. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Much appreciated. And hit the like button as well. Just before I go, which is better, Zandvoort or Monaco? Zandvoort. Zandvoort is better. Zandvoort is not high on my list whatsoever. It's very low to the bottom for racing. But it is still better than Monaco. Monaco is at the bottom for racing. How can it not be? How can it not be? So, Checo has a new engine from previous GP. He will get some advantage. Yeah, most likely. I still expect to see the Red Bulls tomorrow in FP3, topping those timing sheets. Intrigued to see by how much though. But that gives me positive vibes for the weekend. Gives me positive vibes because I really thought the Mercedes would be so much further back. And I didn't think the Ferraris would even be anywhere close to getting ahead of the Red Bulls. So, but anyway, big thank you guys. Have a lovely rest of your evening. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow, same time for FP3. See you guys. Have a good one. Bye.